What would happen if we nuke the moon? The moon has had a profound impact on Earth and has embodied the planet's entire evolution since its creation 4.5 billion years ago. After a collision with Earth, the moon has been in its orbit ever since, leading to the attraction of oceans and seas, causing the phenomenon of tides, life motivator in creatures literally. So, what if we detonated a nuclear bomb? Blowing up the moon would have some serious consequences for our planet, similar to what happened in the Oblivion movie to an extent, where aliens think of the best way to get us off Earth, which is destroying the moon. You might not know this, but both Russia and the United States had plans to bomb the moon. At that time, political and cultural tensions between the United States and Russia made such desperate plans seem it would be somewhat reasonable. In the year 1958, the Armor Research Foundation developed a plan to bomb the moon, led by the United States Air Force. It was said that the plan was to study the potential effects of a nuclear explosion on the moon's surface, and ultimately to judge the effectiveness of nuclear weapons in space. It turned out that both sides actually wanted to detonate a nuclear weapon on the moon as a show of strength and ability. Perhaps we would not know all this if it weren't for Carl Sagan, who was working on a secret project to detonate a nuclear weapon on the moon. The Russians had their very own plan too. It's called Project E, of course. None of this happened, and instead, a man was sent to the moon. So, the idea of nuking the moon is not a new one. And the question is, why do we want to bomb the moon? And what would happen if we did? Many of you may already know that we simply do not have the technology needed to blow up the moon. Even if we used all the nuclear weapons we have, the worst that could really happen, the moon might break into smaller pieces, which would eventually reform. Yet, it will also look very different from what it is now in the night sky. And just for the sake of argument, let's assume we have the power to do so. Finding out why someone wants to bomb the moon with nuclear weapons will be the million-dollar question. Losing the moon would not have any positive effects on our planet. In fact, the moon is responsible for more than you might think. Turns out, our moon does much more than just give us light at night. And the sustainable craters on the moon show that the lunar body has received some hits from asteroids that could have potentially hit Earth instead. And even if Earth survives the moon's explosion, other space rocks could now hit us. But this is just the beginning. Without the moon, there will be many negative impacts on the planet depending on how the moon explodes, where the moon's fragments will go. Destroying the moon would result in various sizes of lunar debris, which we hope would not hit the Earth with large pieces. But because the moon is somewhat close to Earth, you can bet that a lot of this debris will inevitably impact the Earth. And you might wonder, how many nuclear weapons would we need to blow up the moon's surface using some of the fictional tools available online? Estimates suggest that if the moon were to be blown up using nuclear weapons, we would need 9,015 megatons of nuclear explosives, like Castle Bravo bomb, which is known as Castle Bravo. It's the code name given in the series, from the high-temperature thermal weapon design tests conducted by the United States in the Bikini Atoll of the Marshall Islands. The device was the most powerful nuclear device detonated, previously by the United States. If such an explosion happened uniformly and at the same time, there will be large pieces of the moon flying through space, with many headed directly towards Earth. there is a high likelihood that many of these sectors will be significant. Enough to cause catastrophic damage hitting the mainland. There will be a rocky field on the ground as a result of the moon exploding. It might take any days for some pieces to reach us, but they will be visible from the sky as they descend towards the Earth. It's safe to say that the majority of the destruction on the ground will come from the debris of what remains of the moon. Rocks do not need to be huge to cause significant damage. Consider the Chelyabinsk meteor that entered the Earth's atmosphere undetected. It was hidden by the sun. The meteor's diameter was 66 feet, and its weight ranged from 12,000 to 13,000 metric tons. The object exploded in the air at an altitude of about 97,000 feet, generating a bright flash that was brighter than the sun. Eyewitnesses say there was intense heat and subsonic seismic readings, where the explosion was estimated at about 400 to 500 kilotons. That's equivalent to 26 to 33 times the energy released by the Hiroshima atomic bomb. Even though most of the sexual energy, it was absorbed by the atmosphere. About 1,500 people were injured by flying glass shards primarily. The shockwave destroyed 7,200 buildings in 6 cities across the region. Now imagine hundreds of these explosions over days or months. Destruction does not last. Humanity will have to seek refuge underground. Many of these rocks and debris will heat up and burn upon entering Earth's atmosphere, which in turn would quickly heat up the atmosphere and turn the Earth into an oven. This destruction will of course occur without considering the giant pieces that could be miles long and collide with Earth, not to mention the other small fragments that strike the upper atmosphere, increasing the Earth's temperature. A dust cloud may form, possibly covering the sky and blocking all light, except for the light of the fireballs of lunar objects entering the atmosphere. While all this destruction happens, there are bigger things about to happen that would change the face of the Earth forever. The loss of the moon will affect Earth's orbital rotation and wobble, acting as a stabilizer for motion. Without this stability, the Earth will begin to wobble more and more. The seasons we knew will stop as the Earth swings around the sun in an unstable orbit. The Earth could end up violently swaying as it rotates. The Earth might veer off course along the way, depending on its sides in relation to the sun's orbit, leading to severe differences in temperature and light. At other times, the Earth will be straight up and down, what makes day and night equal in length throughout the year. There will be seasons, and there will be periods of extreme weather with significant differences between summer and winter. Thanks to our current moon, the Earth's axis remains tilted between 23 and 26 degrees, and this continued for millions of years. The tides will be minor compared to what they are now, and the seas and oceans will become more calm now, where it is dominated by the sun's gravity clouds, and its diameter is 400 times larger than the Earth's. But it is also 400 times farther from the Earth. And due to some of the sun, it may reach tidal force is only 40% of the Earth's ocean's attraction by the moon. When the sun and moon align, the spring tide is 140% higher than the typical tide, but now the moon vanished. Tidal patterns will be much simpler, and the marine life we know will disappear. Most creatures would perish without the ebb and flow of tides. If you do suddenly remove the moon, there might be giant tidal waves or not, because the lunar gravitational forces would suddenly disappear. If we decide to use a type of deadly star weapon and blow up the moon from another perspective, we might avoid some destruction in the first few years until the Earth's wobble finishes us off. The absence of the moon means Earth's days would become much shorter during certain periods. An average day lasts about 6 to 8 hours.
It's likely that today
The Earth's composition was formed 4 billion years ago from just 8 hours due to the moon's proximity at the time. And this would give you between 1,100 to 1,400 days in a year. Our days have become much longer now because the tidal friction provided by the moon slows down the Earth's rotation. This means the Earth was spinning much faster in the past. In fact, it will be about 3 to 4 times faster than it was 4 billion years ago. Currently, the pull of the moon's gravity slows down Earth's rotation through an effect known as tidal braking. Our day will lengthen by 2.3 milliseconds per century. As the moon moves away from the Earth by about 1.5 inches each year, this gives us 24 hours in a day. There will be a lot of dust and small rock fragments forming a ring system around Earth. Much like the Saturn system, over time, many lunar fragments will leave their orbit due to the Earth's atmosphere, creating a series of effects. But in the night sky, there will be gray rings of moon dust around the Earth. And without the moon, the night sky would be much darker. Moonless nights in the desert reveal some of the most stunning star views in the galaxy. You can also see the Milky Way on dark night, away from city lights and the moon on the other side of the planet. Imagine now being able to watch this anywhere at night far from the city. The moon actually reflects a lot of sunlight. It's the brightest thing in our current night sky, and without the moon, our nights would be unbelievably dark, as we need it to illuminate things. Venus is considered the second brightest object in the sky. The sky's illumination at night is equivalent to 114,000 degrees like full moonlight. Adikasenson will continue to shine on us as usual, but there will be no lunar eclipse nor solar eclipse. And with all these terrible things I've talked about, there's no need to worry. There are no plans to bomb the moon with nuclear weapons. It would require an incredible amount of nuclear weapons and multi-stage rockets. Getting there is out of the question. Plus, we simply don't have the necessary equipment. But at least now, when you look up at the night sky and see the moon, you might have more appreciation and gratitude for our lunar friend. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell so you're the first to know when a new video is released. Thank you for watching.